You are now tuned in to the City Sultan podcast, where our purpose is cultivating leaders and our focus is the divine masculine and leadership. In today's episode, we'll be discussing alchemizing the mundane. I'm City Bliss.
I'm City Stone, Emerald Stone, aka the Walking Crystal. What's up, y'all?
I am Blue Lotus triple threes, emphasis on the threes, eternally. You know the vibrations.
I'm City Rod, aka King Rod. Bless, bless, love, love.
Bless. Oh man, this is beautiful. I love it. Now look at this. Season 2, episode 3, alchemizing the mundane. It's funny because when we hear, you know what? I'm actually just gonna start off the bat. I'm gonna ask a question off the bat. No intro, straight up question.
Go straight in for the content. Straight for the
see,
he's off that Grant Cardone energy.
Yo, for real, that's what I've been on lately. I said, but listen, when you see alchemizing the mundane, when you hear that, right? What immediately comes to mind? Anybody, what's up? What comes to mind when you hear alchemizing the mundane?
For me, I see changing something that is kind of routine, or not even like changing it, but when dealing with something that's routine, or it may be a habit that has been formed that may not necessarily be one of complete excitement, or bring as much joy or energy with it, but you alchemize it by changing how it is that you feel about going through it. So like going through it with a certain intention that'll completely change the feel of it during the process. So that's how you alkalize the mundane.
Beautiful, because the reason why we want to alchemize the mundane is because for those people who, mundane is something that's mundane is not exciting. However, we need mundanity. We need some of those things to grow. Whether we are working out, sometimes push-ups can be the most mundane thing ever, or whether we are creating a plan, a value spending plan. We don't really say budget because budget just means to cut back. So like whether we're creating a value spending plan, or whether we are like when I'm planning my day, sometimes because I know it can be so boring, but you cannot avoid these mundane things. We can't. Not as sultans, we can't, you know what I mean? These things have to be done. The land has to be the soil has to be tilled, you know what I mean? We have to water the
you have to be the last man standing.
Exactly. And
you know what I mean? Like let's say everybody else failed, you have to be the one who held the line and did what you had to do. You was actually within let's say you was printing every single page, you were writing every single word, you were handling the array of skills that you needed to be who you are in your becoming. But the thing is that it's you have to change your perception of it.
Exactly.
You have to change your perception and realize, okay, if I change the perception of it, I'm doing it with a purpose. I'm doing it with an intention. If I imbue this idea with this intention, then it creates that feeling of accomplishment, that feeling of self-belief.
Exactly.
It's like when I plan stuff out, sometimes because I know if I'm writing out a whole like plan, sometimes I'll just get one of those pencils that are like different colors, or I'll get different markers so that it can be more exciting. Like, like I'll need Sharpies and stuff like that because I need my brain to not get bored with what I'm looking at. And I think as an artist, I've already fooled myself into thinking that just because something is colorful, it's fun.
So, about that, I heard that there's this trick that you can do with the mind instead of using like just a black pen or marker, or using pens that are actually colored like blue or green or red, because most of the time our eyes are seeing black and white, like a lot of shadow. So when you use colors to write, you can recall that whatever you wrote down easier, because your mind is like, it picks up on it.
Exactly.
Instead of just like ignoring it because it's regular black and white, it's like, oh, something different. Let me make sure I keep a mental note of that kind of thing.
Now, you know, when it comes to these things, we're asking, like, even something like the format of City Sultan for our viewers who already know, like the format is pretty mundane. We just ask questions straight up, go down the list. But what about it is making these questions not feel mundane? What about it? What would you say is about us or the show is making these questions or this process not feel mundane?
I would say what's making this process not feel mundane is that we're always ever so constantly expanding and growing in every moment of this human experience. And with that, we will always have newfound experiences, newfound insights, newfound outlooks, newfound perspectives altogether. So therefore, it just displays one's knowingness of self-awareness within that they know that they're growing, you know, and they're learning new things, and they're not only new things, but I also wanted to further elaborate on the alchemization of the mundane, because we need a mundane task or mundane tasks as a necessary foundation for one to grow on a multitude of levels. Because once you have that mundane task that you can be familiar with, that you know is necessary and needed within your reality, then you can utilize that same formula and strategy into whatever else you would like to incorporate and manifest within your reality, and build from there. And even just continue to use that formula, duplicate it, copy it, and just build like Tetris.
Like Tetris, I love that. You know, in fact, inshallah, me and my wife, Bashari Ansari, we're going to be introducing, and I guess you guys are getting it early, is that we're going to introduce 5D economics on the second semester. You know, and in the second semester, you know, before we do that, it's our plan to be sure that we are that we, you know, we put out a lot of free content, free game. We're going to speak about NFTs and things of that nature. Like we're going to take it to a whole new level. But amongst one of them is going to be this way of how to make $100,000 a month. You know what I mean? How through marketing.
That's what we focus on.
And at first you're like, sheesh, you know what I mean? Like, you know, it's a little mundane the way that you're doing it, because you're continuously targeting. And then you're targeting, receiving sales, and then redoing the same system over and over and over, which we should speak about. So everybody be on the lookout for that. But like after a while, if you keep doing it over and over and over, $100,000 is like the opposite of mundane. You know what I mean? Once you finally get those in your check, it's just like, if it takes for me to be mundane to get 100,000 a month, then do I care about, you know what I mean? Do I care about it being mundane? So we have to also realize that the ends justify the means.
Yeah.
You know, like, so if I have to do the same system over and over and over, as long as what I'm doing is getting me a maximum amount of return, then I
and results.
And results, exactly.
I love what you said, because this reminds me of something I learned recently. It's about like the energy you put in and the energy you get out. Let's say, you know, at first you're doing something and it might take 10 points of energy just to get back 1 point of a result. But you do that consistently, put all your focus there, then you ultimately get to a point where now you can put in less energy, you put in 1, and the return is the 10. Because of that focus and energy you put toward it, it's like the momentum is built up. So it just kind of works for itself.
Exactly. Through the mundane.
I like that idea of momentum of a circulation, because what you're doing is just like you're vibrating faster. You know, every time what you're doing is that repetitive, it's just a repetitive motion in a different way. And I love what Lotus said about you being able to take that program, because what you're doing is you're just learning how to train the subconscious. When you're alchemizing in a certain area, a certain skill, you're learning how to create a subconscious program and it bolsters your other skills because you just take that subconscious program that you learn in that skill and transpose it within another part of yourself. You know, so it's like alchemizing the mundane is almost like harnessing the energy of that repetitiveness, of that motion, of that momentum.
I love that. You know, and then, but in order to even like, see, the thing is like sometimes we consciously know what we got to do, but like emotionally or spiritually or, you know, mentally, we don't feel like doing it.
Yeah, it's true. Say.
Because sometimes we mentally attach pain to doing it, or because we don't see the end goal. So how can we almost trick ourselves into seeing that you know, this mundane thing, though it's mundane right now, it may seem mundane right now, is going to have benefits by coloring it, by colorifying it, you know what I mean? So when we're taking alchemizing the mundane, we're alchemizing that which is mundane from just being a left brain product from A to B, A to B, to being a balanced product with the divine feminine involved through colors, through whether it's musicality. Like sometimes I teach people the Quran and I have them sing, you know, certain tones and flows. So now before, instead of saying Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillah, now they're like Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So adding in the feminine principle with that masculine already is the very balance that humankind has been seeking. And in that balance, inshallah, we'll be able to find, you know, what easier.
I think what it is delving sometimes in the imbalance of spontaneity. You know, because that disruption of the left brain is what makes it goes to the right brain, because the right brain is the one that adapts and the logic is the one that knows. But if you do something that's quote unquote in the unknown, if you're in a state of creation at the same time, you're tapping into that adaptative right brain, that art brain, and incorporating that. The imbalance becomes the balance.
Yeah, well, you have to introduce. I feel like sometimes you have to introduce a imbalance before it could come back to balance, because you're leaning so much toward one side, but then when you introduce this new concept, it like levels out. It may even take it from.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so what is the word I want you to touch on is spontaneity. What do you feel about spontaneity?
Oh, spontaneity is very important because spontaneity in the right place though. Because being spontaneous everywhere can actually, you know, have us like crazy almost. You know what I mean? So like being spontaneous.
You're not aiming. You're off. You're quote unquote off track. You know, you have to be spontaneous and then come back into the core.
Right. It can't be like a constant spontaneity.
Exactly.
Constant. I like that. I like that. He said he snatched it.
I say work it like a muscle.
That's fire. That's fire. Though. Constant spontaneity.
What role would you say that because we were touching on, we led to spontaneity, but we were talking about kind of coloring things to bring that balance, which is that creativity. What role do you think creativity plays this in our path of success? Do you think it plays an important role, or what's up?
Yes. I was gonna say creativity is definitely an important role because that's what keeps us inspired. You know, the more we're creative, the more we can create and produce new innovative ways, even to alchemize and make the mundane tasks more enjoyable. Because we're creating new formulas within that program within itself that we can already identify with, and that we're already familiarized with.
Well, that's absolutely. And you know, one time I know I write music, so one time I was working for this place where I had to pick up phones all day. But before I learned how to do it, I had to go through a training, and in the training, I had to learn how to work the keyboard. I had to learn how to work the keyboard, and the keyboard was just like so difficult. They did a horrible job at training us, terrible. Like, so nobody knew what was going on. So I got a beat, pardon me, and I wrote a song for outlining every single key and their function. And I recorded it and kept playing it to myself.
Wow.
This is an example of me personally being in a situation where, yeah, it was mundane and I had to alchemize it. But because of that, by the end of the second month, I have been their top caller.
Mm.
I have been their top caller because I was operating at a level of knowledge. So if you don't, if something feels difficult, that's not an excuse to not, you know what I mean, to not learn it.
Challenge it. Yeah,
Yeah,
face
you
the
have to
challenge.
challenge it. And even if you do, even if you can't find a creative way at the moment, or you don't see yourself coming with anything that creative, then you just, sometimes you just gonna have to sit there and go through it. It's fine. Nobody wants to read the driver's manual of, you know what I mean? Like nobody wants
Word,
to read
word. They just
the
want to
driver's
drive.
manual or for their permit test. Nobody wants to do that.
Facts.
Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to sit in the DMV all day. Nobody.
Oh,
Nah,
nobody.
word,
Nobody wants to sit in the
Nobody.
DMV.
word.
But we do it
Facts.
because we have to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
We do it because we have to. So next question.
I think what it does, like I said, it's the base that fortifies us. It's just that fortification. It's that I think the mundane is the realness that people feel from you.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Mundane, you doing the mundane, you doing the repetitive. I think that's what makes people feel like, that's what makes you real because they know that you've been through it. You're solidified.
Right.
The center is hard. You look in somebody's eyes and you see that they've been through experiences, but that experience is just that the quote unquote mundanity of life. But mundanity in the sense of the repetition of life, of it just being a constant awareness of awareness and awareness. And like we see the sensations of the awareness, but in the mundanity, it's the consistency of awareness.
Oh wow. So in the mundanity, wow. Hold on. And you just broke the matrix again. Okay. So some people's mundane work when they're working on themselves is I think this is the balance. So I can say for me personally, like editing is mundane, right? Like I edit a lot of videos, music videos, all types of stuff. Doing it is so mundane and it's meticulous. But because I master this certain level of editing, not that I'm this editing master, but like within my own self, because I can kind of do it like with my subconscious already and I can edit easily. Now, even though the mundane is there, but now the product that I'm generating is always different. So I took the mundane actions, which is cutting, which is knowing how to cut, edit, all of these things. But what is produced out of the mundane work is always something new. It's always something awesome, and it always is giving me a reason to want to come back and do it again. And then after a while, what was once mundane just becomes a part of life. You know what I mean? It becomes a part of the flow. It becomes you having to do the work. So, we have to, I feel like specifically as men, grown women as well, is that we shouldn't run from any obstacles that may feel like, oh my gosh, this is gonna take forever. Because in there is the actual jewel that you needed. Like some people said, all right, what I love is like some people said, yo, digging in the ground for diamonds is mundane. Okay, then somebody else came and created a whole damn drill. You know what I mean? And they alchemized it. They alchemized that which was seemingly mundane, and they made it easier for people. So I guess alchemizing the mundane is making it easier for yourself to connect. For sure. So
I love that. I love that. Alchemizing the mundane is making it easier to connect. And
yeah.
it's interesting because even in the etymology of mundane, it comes from a derivative of world. So when you think of mundane, you think about it of it just being your life. I'm not separated from this moment. The only reason that you see it as mundane is because you're disconnected from the moment. You see it from outside of yourself. But if you see it as the world, if you see it just as your life right now, and at then, you heard I said not and then at then you're not seeing it as as mundane. You're seeing it as moment.
Ah, yes. So next question, yo, what mundane tasks bring you back to your core or your values, like your core values or home? Like what are some mundane tasks that you say that you engage in? Like I could say for me, Obviously pray 5 times a day. That always brings me back.
Yeah.
But also now that I've started working out, it's like I get that feeling of security again. So it brings me back. You know,
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
back home. It's mundane as though, but it's one of those things. How about y'all?
I
Yeah.
was gonna say setting my alarm clock at a particular time to get up for work. You know,
Ah.
that's definitely mundane. So whether if I get 2 hour rest, whether if I get 1 hour rest, whether if I get no hour rest, whether if I get 8 hour rest, I still excuse me, I still have to wake up at that time, no matter what,
Mm.
or else I'll be late for work, cause and effect.
Yeah.
So that's a disciplined, mundane task,
So
you know.
you're sustaining your frequency because what I told City Ra not too long ago was that those who refuse to maintain are doomed to rebuild.
Mm.
Correct, correct. That's true, real talk.
So the more like if we
Scratched it.
it's like when you have your room or your home and your home is really clean, you did all that work, but then a couple days by and you get all of these distractions which we demolish out here. um you get all these distractions, and they can sometimes try to sway you out of maintaining the frequency that you've been working on. So maintenance, and then to the point to where like you come back home and your room is like destroyed, and you realize that it was you who did it over time. You know what I mean? So
It was
it's
you
like
seen that you seen it was the accumulation in the opposite direction. So that's what
yes,
you start learning is that if you're not learning, you're dying. You know, if
if
you're
you're
not
not
creating,
conscious,
you're not, because the thing is when you're within the mundane, all you're doing is coming to a point where you say, I'm not going to rush life. You know,
absolutely.
because the only reason that you're saying this is going to take forever is because you're looking at life not in a sense of now, you're looking at life in a sense of, oh, it needs to happen. I need to be on the other end of whatever this thing is. Why are you trying to rush to that end? Why are you not living now?
Mm.
Absolutely. And you know, for our viewers who are even listening to this episode, this is a very special episode, in fact. And I'm realizing it the more that we speak because, like I said, when you speak about something that's so mundane, like mundanity,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? When we can speak about something that's so mundane as at mundanity, you could still see that even within this realm, we're still creating.
Exactly.
We're still creating. You know, and to create to maintain that creative spirit is what really lets you know that somebody is a true creative, because no matter where they are, you know, within them, they're able to transform and transfigure whatever it
Yeah.
is that they
Yeah.
see. So this is nature right here at its best right now, manifesting. So
But here's the thing though, you're able to do that because you have reflections. I think that's what's interesting.
Mm.
yes,
Having reflections because then you're able to create it and bounce off their creations. So we're regularly creating off our own creations, but when you have a reflection, you can create off their perceptions as well.
Right.
You know, so it's
Correct.
almost we're it is nature. Nature is the unity. Nature is that collaboration. So I'd say even what helps me with my mundanity or is realizing collaborating with others who are also within that realm of mundanity and repetition and momentum and realizing it for what it is. So in alchemizing the mundanity, collaborativeness, I think is a large part of that as well.
absolutely, beautifully put. And you know,
Hmm.
one question too I have for everybody, it says, is there anything you didn't do because it was monotonous, and what would you tell that self now? So
Say that one more time.
is
If
there
there's anything you
anything
would
that
go
you
ahead.
didn't do that because it was monotonous, and what would you tell that self now?
Okay, I get what it's saying. It's okay, so it's saying that think about something that you didn't do because you felt it would be monotonous,
Yes.
right? And you're like, damn, I should have did that, but I didn't do it because it was monotonous. What would you tell that self now? That self that didn't do it, that didn't act because of the mundanity to
Right.
push through that. Because it's
How
like
is
now
it?
you regret not doing that. Now you're like, you know what? If I would have for me, because it's for me, it's sometimes it's dance. there was some nuances of just learning dance that I never knew because I realized learning it would be mundane. And so they're like skips in my learning. I wish I would have went back and told them that if you push through that, then you will become the experience of pushing through. And that's going to be your realness at one point in your life.
That's such a good, and it's also kind of getting into the habit of doing that. You know what I mean? Getting into the habit of pushing through things so that when actual issues come, like you're able to push beyond that. And like even when there's issues that are not so bad or like not so difficult, you're gonna fly past that faster than everybody else. Because you already have that strength within you within that practice.
I also wanted to add on and elaborate on what Ross said and add the word in term mastery in the mundane and being in that moment, because that can also be interpreted on various levels. You know, while you're in the moment, you're being fully present to that task, and then ultimately, let's say if you have a list of other mundane tasks, you can have an ideology or even system, a formula to where, let's say if you want to 1 week focus on a particular mundane task as opposed to the others, not saying that you're not focused on them as well, but let's say if it's one that you feel you really want to hone in all your energy on, you can do so. And basically fluctuate between the others and then and master it all together.
Absolutely. Sheesh. Sheesh. Okay, so you have one more question, y'all, that we have left actually. I think we have, so you're a leader of a team in which the members must go through the monotonous process of cold calling. Excluding money, what would you say to incentivize them? Now, this is from the position of a leader. If you have a team and these people are doing something and it's monotonous and they get bored, what are you going to say to incentivize, like what is something that you can do or say to incentivize people to work, to continue?
I would say to remember like your why to begin with, or your purpose behind it. What is the greater, driving purpose behind why you're even here and doing what you're doing in the first place, whether it be family, whether it be, a greater cause like for humanity. Yeah, or just anything like that. Or if it's just like a more self-driven, purpose. But just remembering that why and anchoring it in can always be a motivation and a great incentive to just push through like the monotonous tasks that we have at hand. So that would be my
so how would you say that we keep the same vigor, City Bliss? Like how could you keep that vigor going? Because just because and this is actually to everybody, like just because something is mundane or just because we finally found like a way, how do we keep that vigor to keep going? And like when we're doing push-ups, not just do a push-up, but do that extra push-up with the internal will to want to keep going. How do we do that?
Know how
We
you
gotta
know how you want
go ahead,
to feel.
Blaze.
I would say know how you want to look and feel, knowing that those extra 2 or 3 push-ups, like picturing like, because there's, and I would say like if you're working out, there should be a goal you're working towards, how you want your body to look or how strong you want to be or whatever you want to be able to lift. So thinking of that and being like, if I don't do these 2, I might not be able to reach that kind of thing. So making it be like a death or do or die kind of situation. Really.
Have you ever found yourself working towards something and then like, or working toward a specific goal and then the goal itself kind of got you like, it's like do I really want, but you've already gotten so far.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, do I really want a body like, Michael B. Jordan, or like, I don't know who has muscles anymore, but I'm just saying like random people like Wait, who's that? Who's that dude who's
Who that? Who that?
who's that brother that has like that body, and he does he's a black brother and he has a beard and he does martial arts.
Oh,
Just know for the
damn.
beard. I want to know what this is.
Something white, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
martial artist.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Jai White.
Jai White. Yeah, something
Michael
Michael
J.
Jai
White.
White. I
For
said
you,
Michael B. Jordan. I meant Michael Jai White.
Jay.
The blood and bone.
Yeah, I'm like saying like that's who I was thinking of. So I'm
That's
like,
Spawn.
Yo,
yeah,
he's
Spawn. So
Spawn. Right.
I'm like, yo, so do I really want like that Spawn like S body, you know what I mean? And like how do I keep that light in my eyes to keep going? But you do it because because of the love of it, you know? Like a mother a mother taking care of a child doesn't always want to take care, because wake up 3 o'clock in the morning because the baby's crying, 4 o'clock in the morning, and then wait 2 hours. Now it's 6 o'clock in the morning and she keeps waking up. She doesn't just do that because she just wants to inside of her. She does it because she's so inclined to, for the love that she has, which for the goal, which is to take care of that
It
child.
comes back to
Which is needed.
It comes back to love each time.
Oh, every time.
Also, it comes back to like a sense of integrity as well, I feel.
Yeah. How would you
And
explain
purpose.
that?
Like, because if you want to, all right, so there's a certain goal that you want to reach, and there are tasks that you have to fulfill. Now, you can have the option of doing this task, whatever it may be, how mundane it may be, but it's like a choice, choosing to remain in integrity, to do it, even though it may not be the most fulfilling thing to do at the time, but knowing in the long run that it will be. So choosing the option that is gonna keep you in your integrity, as opposed to going against your highest self.
So basically, I feel your daily reminder of why you're doing what you're doing.
Right.
Like, so for instance, I actually want to just backpedal and elaborate and build on what City Bliss was saying as far as like working out. So now, let's say for instance, a person does 20 push-ups every day. That's all good. But at some point, your body is going to become, it's called plateau, the term. And then it's not really going to build as much muscle as, let's say, if you built up from 5 to 10 to 15 to 20. So saying all that to say, I'd say for one to challenge themselves and for one to remain inspired, just using that as an example, like let's say add 5, like once a week. No, well, every week add 5 to create new resistance and create uncomfortability within oneself, and to keep that fire burning, remain inspired.
Yo, Blue Lotus, you giving me like a new thing. Instead of 10x, add 5. Add 5.
If thanks.
Add 5.
Thanks.
And you said remain inspire spirit.
Ra should have caught that one.
You have me. I didn't even catch it. You have me still stuck because I'm over here like I'm saying. I'm over here like, yo. Did he just say be inspired by the uncomfortability? What? He just went in. That was fired. He said, yo, be inspired by the uncomfortability. That's crazy.
You know, this episode remaining inspired.
Word.
Inspired.
Yo, but inspiration, it's like you got the Holy Ghost in you. You just like, I gotta keep going. Like, but I just looked up the definition of inspired. Now, breath and spirit, always you'll find within etymology that they're very close to each other. Because like it's like when they have the ancient story of God blowing the breath of life into humankind.
Correct.
So I was looking up the etymology of inspire, and in, which means into from the Latin, which it's still in, and then spirare, which is breath, or to blow into. So so when it's blowing in this this breath or this life, this breath of life, this spirit into something, remain inspired.
It's to inspire is to breathe in, is to live, but you know, it's to expire. It's to exhale.
Yes.
Uh,
Wow.
I like that one.
yeah.
Wow.
Working librarian strikes again.
Yo,
It's
inspire.
keeping the
Stay
balloon
inspired
inflated,
before you
bro.
expire.
All right. As above, so below. As within, so without. Perfect balance.
I'm here to inspire, yo. I'm here
Before
to
I
live. I'm here
expire.
to inspire.
I'm here
Wow.
to inspire before I expire.
Well, look, you see, if you inspired enough, when you expire, you're still going to be continuously inspiring.
Oh.
Thought.
Ah.
Nah, that was high levels right there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, facts.
So,
Thanks.
so I guess moral of the story today, or moral of the episode is
Stay inspired.
staying inspired,
Right.
understanding, because we really delve deep into the frequency of mundane today.
Right.
And I think and we definitely like reach a certain point, and the pinnacle is just like, but you know, we have to stay up, we have to keep going. I don't care, like, you know. And then when you really look at like super masculine energy, it's like, it's just like, I don't care if you're tired. I don't care if you're no longer interested. That's not what it's about. My sister, as a creative in a very famous online searching platform that everybody looks things up on, she works there, and she tells me, she's like, yo, listen, as a she says, as a creative,
Thing.
she says, yo, as a creative, she said, you're not a creative just because you have ideas. She says, you're creative when you create, when you're done, when you finish. She says, if you don't finish, if you don't put nothing out, she says, you're not a creative. You're just a person with ideas.
That's real talk.
So we have to continue. We have to finish. We got to work through the Monday. Because I remember I was like, yo, sis, I was like 16. I was like, yo, sis, I'm like, oh my God, like it gets so boring sometimes. I'm like, how do you like overcome that as an artist? She said, you got to fight through it. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you just got to, like, you got to just like fight through it. You got to get through it. What do you want me to do? Like, I don't understand. Like, what?
It's like the monkey mind. Like the monkey mind.
What you
way
want
of
me to do?
thinking.
Exactly.
Like through a grasshopper.
Exactly. You got to fight through. What do you really want? Like, because there's some people that they don't get inspired in like 10 years. Like, they call it depression.
But
You know,
see, the thing, and this is something I learned over the weekend, and I love the just the perspective it gave me, where it's like
Segue.
inspiration versus motivation. So inspiration is coming from within, as while motivation is something external, giving you
Yes.
that driving sense. So if you're looking for something external, like you could be searching forever in order to move. But if it's coming from an internal purpose, then you can always create that for yourself. You don't need anything from the outside.
Yeah. The best motivators are the ones who remain inspired because they know they have to do it for themselves.
You know, it's crazy because when I think of motivation, I think of locomotive, which is a physical thing, and inspiring is that literally in spirit thing. So you literally see inspiration would be more solidifying than motivation, because motivation is that locomotive. It is not it's the train, but then the inspiration is the electricity. You know,
Motivation.
It's emotion. It's moving.
It pushes something into motion. That's what
Right.
it does. Motivation is pushing something into motion. And as a motivator speaks, they hope to spark that which exists in you so that you may be inspired. But they can't make you move. They have to say something and hope. Their art is to hope to reach something in you that makes your fire go off so that you can do it on your own. Like, you know, that's true motivational speaking. But I think we reached our hour, family. You know what I mean? Or just about. I just wanted to thank you all as usual. Thank you, fans, City Sultan. You know what I mean? And do we have any like last remarks?
Thank y'all for tapping in. Thank y'all for tuning in. Like, subscribe, share.
Please.
Yeah, we building.
We appreciate
Tap
you
in.
so much.
Yes. Your energy, patience,
You know, the
time.
thing is that we
Warranted and
come here each week and we give these certain lessons, but at the same time, you realize that we are living them simultaneously. So even every week when we have a title, what we're actually doing is living that moment to moment within the episode. So when we say alchemizing the mundanity, we're actually doing it simultaneously and spontaneously. So that's what creates the longevity of that is what creates the longevity of what you're doing, because it's not only when you're doing something, you don't also have to just be in tune to the persistence of it. There has to be that energy of intention and purpose to arrive, or not to arrive, you have a physical destination, but arrive at a place within yourself in terms of the feeling of what you're doing.
Yes.
You know, that's what is important at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And with that being said, I see Akasha coming out soon. And we appreciate y'all.
Kasha, cute.
What's up? What you got, City Bliss?
I would also say definitely for like any viewers, maybe let us know what are some topics you'd like to hear us discuss.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Your feedback is needed.
Leave that in the comments. Leave
We
some
need
topics,
you.
ideas. Leave that in the comments.
Absolutely. City salute, y'all.
Yes. City salute.
That was it.
He said, just smile.
All right, just close it out. Close it out, Bliss.
It's like showbiz. Everybody's give me a high five.
Yeah, word. Beautiful, guys. That was dynamite.
Two of the City Sultan podcast. I am Bliss.
I am City Stone, aka Emerald Stone, the Walker Crystal. You know that.
I am Blue Lotus, triple threes, emphasis on the threes, eternally. Yes.
Bless. This is King Rod. Love.
Love. City salute.
City salute.